Coming up on this program, we show you how to get connected. Find out how to choose an internet service provider. Discover the newest form of communication, electronic mail.
Ways down and ready to ride. One by one, billion by billion, been holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing, if you know it's time. Time for a girl on fire. Time for a girl on fire. Time for
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well today. Happy Friday, or Fry-yay, as we like to call it around here. Well, there that was. Tucked away. I hope that you had a wonderful day. There was a live chase today. There was a lot of excitement that happened. And now we are settling in for our Friday night festivities. I have to drink a Coca-Cola. This is 710 milliliters. So what is that? 2 cups? 2 cups. Yeah, the chase was a good blonde chick. And we have quite the case for us. The case doesn't finish tonight because they can't finish. There wasn't enough time. So just pre-warning you for that. But we have multiple cases to watch tonight. This one's a bit long, so let's just get into it. And then we'll get to the lesbians later. Oh, frozen Coke sounds delicious. If you're just getting here, clock in for your shift. Hit that like button for me. Tell me what you had for dinner. If you didn't like what you had for dinner, tell me what you wish you had for dinner. I only drink Coke. I don't drink Coke Zero. I don't drink Diet Coke. In fact, my daughter drinks Diet Coke, and I keep it in the house for her, and I don't even think about it. I could be dying of thirst, and there's a 6-pack of Diet Cokes in the fridge. They don't even register. I'll drink water before I drink Diet Coke, okay? But she likes it, so we have it in the house. And, ooh, shrimp and broccoli Alfredo. Oh, by the way, I did this because it is Friday the 13th, so I wanted it to be a little spooky. A little preview of spookiness for October. Testing out my hex colors, getting these. A frozen Coke is delicious. Now, I'll drink that. Now, here's the thing. I'll drink Pepsi. I guess I'm a cola girl. I don't like Pepsi as much. I ask for Coke, but I will drink it. Grilled chicken, green beans, mashed potatoes, and sliced bolillo rolls. I don't know what those are. Sounds good, though. I got 10... I'm going to have to check the bag. It might be 10 kilos of potatoes for $2.77 the other day. Oh, burgers on the grill at Martha's house. THC drinks are generally very low in THC, so a ripoff for me. But you do you, NPC. Okay, seriously, Paisley, we have to actually get here because we have to get to the fucking thing that we did today. Remember you worked on it? I remember. Erica. Way down on it. Lord Jesus Christ. Also, I have a funny question for you guys. Oh, wow. Streamlabs. Thank you so much, Casey Carey. Do you guys know where Azerbaijan is? Azerbaijan? Does anybody know where that is? Thank you so much. Happy Friday the 13th. The reason is because it came up today in a case, and I laughed. Because I'm just going to allege this. I don't believe that Judge Bronlick knew. Maybe it was just a hearing problem. But Judge Bronlick was perplexed about Azerbaijan. God, I thought I had it right the first time. I look domestic tonight, Bill. Is that because I cleaned
Right, good
up?
afternoon.
Hold
This is a
on.
matter of McMahon.
No, you're not even on the screen yet, Judge. Fucking have some class. Hold on. You don't see that part. Pretend like that warning's not there. I'm just joking. It's just funny. The lady was appearing in court from Azerbaijan and getting a divorce. And honestly, one of the most amicable divorces we've seen in a long time. Seriously. Like, insane in the membrane. Insane in the membrane. But it worked. We'll watch that later, probably. We'll probably watch that later after we watch this. It's pretty long, but what the hell else do we have to do? Okay. Stop singing.
And versus Detweiler, case number 23-10555-DM. Both parties are present in the virtual courtroom along with their respective attorneys. Mr. Cox on behalf of the plaintiff, Mr. Arnson on behalf of the defendant. This is the divorce trial in this matter. The parties, my understanding that the parties have agreed regarding all of the property issues in this matter and have signed a stipulation, which they are getting to the court. And it's the balance of the issues that are remaining for the court to hear today. Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I am going to choose to not make an opening statement, and I just had one question for all of us. I believe we've already had the friend of the court admitted as an exhibit, or did we not do that yet? I guess we didn't really admit anything, did we? Okay.
No, we haven't. This is the
We
start.
settled. Okay, sorry about that. But with that, Your Honor, again, I would waive an opening statement.
All right, Mr. Arnson.
Your Honor, I would waive an opening statement. I will indicate for the court that I did email the stipulated order, which was signed by both attorneys and parties. Ms. Van Noller has noted that she had received that. And per my previous email with Mr. Cox,
No, you need to wait a minute because I'm being so rude. Kaylee King is busy lurking and cleaning, but earlier she became a member. She renewed her membership, I'm pretty sure. But thank you so much, Kaylee. I apologize for that not saying thank you. I'm going to say it again. Thank you. Thank you. Also, this is actually not a dress, funny enough, weird for me. It is a romper and it's shorts. I love it. It fits me now and probably forever, Patrick. Oh, thank you, Casey Carey. You're so sweet. Also, you guys, I have good news. Well, I don't know if it's good news. It's good news for me. I'm going to the gym tomorrow. I'm excited about it. So, if you want to work out along with me, let me know. Also, somebody was asking me how to do makeup. I did that one time. I'm not good at makeup. We need professionals for that. I actually need professionals. So, anyways. Thank you. Okay, let's let these people fight about their life as usual. And that'll make us feel better about ours. Right, guys? Right?
I did stipulate to a number of exhibits, which included his exhibit 1, which is the FOC report. So,
All right.
I can look for that email. I'll find that email as we go on.
Okay. So then that FOC report is admitted then.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, with that, I would call my client.
All right. Would you raise your right hand, please? Would you state your name for the record?
Alexandra McMahon.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Cox.
Thank you. Ms. McMahon, can you tell us a little about yourself? How old are you today?
39.
And you're obviously married. Do you tell us how many children do you have?
Listen, I know I don't like how she's sitting either. It's bad for the audio, but she later on gets closer to the camera and is louder, but this is the best we got. They all seem to be able to hear her. So I'm just letting you know. I know she's a little quiet, but
I have 4 children, 3 with Kyle.
All right. And what are the ages of the 3 that you share with Kyle?
My oldest Rex is 7, Penny is 5, and Rocky is 3.
All right. And you're presently employed where?
At Corwell Health,
And what do you do there?
I'm a registered nurse in the surgical trauma ICU.
All right. And how long have you been employed there?
I've been employed there since 2020.
All right. Thank you. And tell us about your current living situation in terms of where you live and with whom.
I currently live at our marital home, 1020 Lincoln.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about how parenting time is going from a scheduling perspective at this juncture. What have we been doing more recently?
More recently, we have been trying to do supervised visits on the weekends from 10 to 4.
Okay.
It's been compounded with supervisor availability and the fact that we only have one supervisor now that is willing to help or that meets the criteria.
Okay. And how long were the 2 of you married?
We were married for 5 years and together for 11.
All right. And when did you separate?
We separated on August 16th of 2023.
All right. And you and I have reviewed what we call the child custody factors. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. The first one deals with the love, affection, and emotional ties with the children. Do you articulate the fact that you love your children to them?
Yes.
All right. And are you physically affectionate with your children in your view?
Yes.
All right. And do you think that you have a strong emotional bond with your children?
I very much do believe I have a very strong emotional bond with all my kids.
Okay, excellent. Based on your observations, does your husband demonstrate appropriate affection towards the children that you share together?
I do not believe that he does anymore. He had a big change from when we first got married and had kids together. But as he is currently, no, I do not.
Okay. And since your separation, how has the relationship between the children and their father been, at least from a parenting time perspective?
They have seen him when they can through like what I just described. They do enjoy seeing their dad and being able to spend time with their grandparents and different friends.
Okay.
When there was more of a scheduled time with Kyle, because for a while I had orchestrated some supervised visits for Kyle with a church member, and it was more consistent and scheduled, and that seemed to go really well for them.
Okay. All right. And is it still going well? Would you describe it as going well in the past month or so?
No,
Okay.
No.
What has happened in the past month or so?
the past month has been very inconsistent on times that we can have supervised visits due to, from what I understand, Kyle's work schedule, and then also the fact that there are just no appropriate supervisors. The supervisors that have been in place, Kyle's either scared away or they've gone against what was signed in the mediation for a supervisor agreement.
Okay. All right. Turning back to the factors for a moment, the second factor, factor B, is the capacity and disposition of the parties involved to give the child love, affection, guidance, and continue the education, raising of the child in his or her religion or creed. Tell us what your involvement is, in, if any, with respect to religion.
Creed. I know we got a jackpots on, but you don't have to mention it, Mr. Cox. What are you doing?
and the children?
We attend church at the Methodist church when we can. We just have a nice little community there.
Okay,
But yeah, we just, I've been going there since, for the past like 10 years or so.
all right. And so will that have been involved with the
Probably. I don't know. He is, I think he's live. Trying. That degenerate.
children that whole time, that whole 10 years, or was it more sporadic, or what did that look like?
It's more sporadic because of our works, like my work schedule, but, we do have ties with the church. They go to different, events there, and, they play with their friends, the church friend.
Okay, excellent. Let's talk a little bit about education under this factor. What is your involvement with the oldest of the three educationally? What grade is the child in?
He's in 2nd grade.
Okay, so we're not doing any calculus homework yet, is that
No.
correct? All right. Tell us how you're involved in educational pursuits with your children.
I have a very good relationship with all of their teachers. I'm very much involved in their day-to-day. For example, our middle Penny, she's 5, she's young for her grade, so I've been working with, I orchestrated different speech pathologists and different things just to make sure she's on track with her age group. I'm very involved with all of their education, really.
Okay. And as far as the speech pathologist, is that something that's dealt with just at the school, or is it dealt with after school, or both?
It was after school. She recently graduated from that program, so she's right on track with everything now, so she doesn't have to continue with that. But
Okay.
yeah, I always make sure that they have a good relationship with their teachers and they're getting the right resources they need and stuff like that.
All right. Now we've got a 2nd grader, and
Mhm.
then what are the grades?
Oh, Penny's in 1st,
Okay,
and then Rocky just started preschool.
start preschool. Okay, understood. All right, and in terms of parent-teacher conferences, are you attending those?
Yes.
All right, and I'm guessing our preschooler probably doesn't have parent-teacher
No.
conferences. Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
Least.
all right. So, and obviously understanding they haven't been in
Wow. MB, first of all, thank you. Happy Friday to you too. You were literally just on my mind. And then Streamlabs. Bravo. I'm impressed. Keep impressing me. You must have seen me researching that Stream Elements thing the other day, huh? Where I found a roulette wheel for our friends to play. You're fast. I like it. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up.
school for a long time, but would you say that your husband also attended those parent-teacher conferences along with you?
Since the separation, he decided he would attend, but prior to that, no, he never attended.
All right. So prior to August of 2023, he did not attend any of the parent-teacher
He may have
conferences?
attended one, but it was always consistently me that scheduled them and went.
Okay. All right. So let's move on from parent-teacher conferences then. What about other activities at the school beyond just the classwork or the homework? What do you have any other involvement there in terms of maybe social activities or helping out in the classroom, anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I have a good relationship with both of their teachers, so they all know me, and I am very involved with helping with other kids in the class too that are friends of Rex's, and Penny's involved with dance, and Rex is doing some Taekwondo now, and yeah, I have them in extracurriculars, and socially they're really thriving. Honestly, they're doing great.
Okay. So I'm taking it then that you at this point, well, I should ask you, who has been dealing with all the socials and extracurriculars prior to the separation?
Me, always.
All right. And I'm guessing you've been doing it all since August of 23 or not?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
since you separated.
Yes.
All right. Other than our child that had some speech challenges, any other concerns academically?
No,
All right.
No.
And the speech has been helping, the therapy for that has been helping?
oh, yes, yeah,
Okay, so you've noticed improvements?
yes, yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right. All right, so the next factor that the court has to consider is the disposition of the parties involved to provide the child with food, clothing, medical care, or other remedial care. Let's go back and just talk about your job for a little bit. Tell us what you do one more time.
I'm a nurse in the surgical trauma ICU.
Okay. And what is your educational background? What degrees do you hold?
I have 2 bachelor degrees, one in neuroscience and then one is a registered nurse.
Okay, excellent. And how long have you been a nurse?
For 4.5 years.
Okay. And what is your present income? Are you salary or hourly, or how does that look?
I'm hourly. I make 39 an hour, but with my weekend differential, I make 49 an hour.
Okay, got it. And what do you think your gross income is a year at this point, if you had to
I
guess?
should also add that I teach at Grand Valley for a clinical instructor program 1 day a week.
Okay.
But
So-
my annual is roughly, I believe 65 maybe this year.
Okay. Now that 65,000 for this year, will that include your teaching income as well, or is?
Yes. yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, very good. And do you feel confident that based on your income and the career that you have, that you'll be able to maintain the financial household on your own once
Yes.
the divorce is concluded?
Yes, I do.
Okay, excellent. All right. And what is it that your husband does for a living?
I'm not sure what he's doing now, but he was a laboratory scientist at,
Okay.
and at a medical facility now, so I
All
don't
right.
understand.
All right. And are you aware of his educational background in terms of a degree that he has or something like that? Or
Yes, he is from a bachelor's in, I believe medical sciences or something, laboratory sciences.
okay, understood. All right. And has his employment history been consistent during the marriage? Or what does that look like?
He was employed with Corewell for a very long time, consistently, and then he was terminated from that position for some anger management issues and disagreements with his coworkers, and so he, despite being there for, I want to say, I mean, he can correct me, 16 or 17 years, they
Okay.
terminated him. And then he got a job at Sheridan Hospital working night shift, and that was the last I knew of his employment, but it had been very consistent up until this kind of big change in the last couple of years in his disposition.
Okay. And when you describe this big change, can you be a little more specific, what, on timing and what that looked like?
Yeah, so it was like from what I can guess, he drank a lot of alcohol and he was a avid marijuana user, where he would just smoke pretty much all day. From my understanding, he had been trying to kind of quit doing that, and in the process, had a lot of withdrawal symptoms that caused a lot of anger issues. He was very, very physically violent at times, certainly emotionally abusive, violent towards our children. He kind of created this atmosphere of fear and just an uncomfortable place to live, very much like on eggshells for everyone, for many years.
Was this around the same time, at least from a beginning perspective, when he lost his job at Corewell?
Yeah, it started before that, and I think both at home and at the job, some of these things were noticed, which is what led to his ultimate termination there and separation and marriage as well, really.
Understood. Okay. This factor also turns its attention to medical needs for the children. How are the children doing from a health and wellness perspective?
So I immediately got them set up with a counselor, upon, our separation, mostly because that's a big thing for any kid to deal with, but, just the, physical violence they witnessed that day, and, especially for Rex, who was involved, I wanted to make sure that their mental health was top priority there. So there was a counselor that was meeting with them every couple weeks at the school to check in with them, and there was a program in place for their, mental health wellness. But medically, they've been doing, they're healthy kids, they're well taken care of.
All right. So, are they still doing the counseling, or has that been kind of tapered off, or what does that look like, counseling?
We're gonna probably start back up in the fall. I'm just kind of waiting. It's like a school-based program that she comes to the schools, so she hasn't seen them over the summer, but she's gonna come back to the schools, sometime this month, is my understanding.
All right. And as far as the children were concerned with their medical needs, was there a parent who took them to their medical appointments more often than the other, or what did that look like in terms of getting the kids to medical appointments?
When we were together, that was pretty split.
Okay.
He did help with that. It's, both of our work schedules, I had worked opposite schedules there for a while.
Okay, sure. All right. And I think you've mentioned this, but there's really no serious medical needs for any of the kids, or they're pretty healthy.
They're pretty healthy.
All right.
yeah.
So none of them is seeing a specialist for any kind of medical challenge, or?
Just recently, Rex, my 7-year-old,
Just thinking about her salary, because it's been pointed out in the chat that at $41 an hour full time, that's $84,624 gross, and she also has the teaching position 4 hours a week. So that's obviously not for fucking shits and giggles. I wonder, I mean, obviously in Canada things are different, so, and I've never made $85,000 yet, but they take a lot of taxes off, so I could see like having $85,000 and taking home like, I don't know, 55 or 65 maybe, I don't know. I'm not really sure how it works at that higher tax bracket. They seem to take a lot off everybody's check, to be honest, but
that got looked at, so he has an umbilical hernia that they are going to remove, but it's outpatient. It's not causing him any distress right now. They just figured they should fix it before it causes any problems as he gets older. But
Got it. Okay, excellent. Thank you. The next custody factor is letter D, the length of time the child has lived in a stable, satisfactory environment and the desirability of maintaining continuity. Tell us a little bit about your home. How long have you lived in the community?
I grew up in Lowell, and I left briefly for college, and did the college thing, and then came back, and I've been living there since 2012, and then I moved into the house that I currently live in 2016, before Rex was born.
All right. And from a stability perspective, do you see yourself having any desire to live the neighborhood that evidently you were born and raised in?
I will be staying where I'm at, yeah.
Okay, excellent, excellent. To that end, tell the court, if you will, a little bit about what family support, if any, you have in the community as well.
I'm very blessed to have an amazing support system. My parents live just up the road. My sister lives just up the road. I have aunts, uncles, a plethora of friends, and to say I'm blessed is an understatement. Our kids and I have a very wonderful support system.
Okay, excellent. And with that support system, whether it's your folks or some of the family members that you mentioned, are people able to help you out and bind with childcare as well?
Yes.
Given that circle, that network?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. And as a family and as sort of a little community, Do you guys spend a lot of time together, holidays, Sunday dinners? What does that look like?
Yeah, I always, they're just so close to us. We see them at least a couple times a week, my parents and my sister and my nieces, and we don't have anything consistent on the books, but from day to day, it's likely that I'll see one of them for some amount of time.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I think it's a really good thing. Like we just have a lot of the kids love having fun time with their cousins and
All right, fair enough. The next factor is factor E, the permanence as a family unit of the existing or proposed custodial home. All right, so we've talked a little bit about family and your connections here. Tell us about what the last year has looked like in terms of what your life has been. Would you say it's been a bit unstable?
I would say that our home life has been very stable. It's been very consistent. I feel like our kids have done really well in this situation because of the consistency and the fact that they can be with me and with all the things that they know. And I like my house is and the environment of my home it's a top priority for me to keep it peaceful and consistent for the kids. And I think I've maintained that over the past year.
All right, excellent. The next factor the court considers is the moral fitness of the parties involved in the case.
But wait, there's more, she said. She's about to spill the tea to you and to me. Let's see what she says. I gotta get some candy.
You spent a lot of time on that factor when you met with a friend of the court investigator. Is that true?
Yes.
All right. What concerns do you have at this point in this particular section with respect to moral fitness?
I do not believe that Kyle has the moral fitness to care for his kids by himself. Of course, I've not seen him or had interactions with him apart from his violations of the PPO. But I mean, the last time I saw him, he had, had barricaded the road so that I had to go around him. He had done some very, very threatening things in front of our children. So based on what I know of him right now, I can't say that he is morally able to handle that. I know that knowing Kyle, I know that he wishes that he could be a certain kind of person, but I don't believe he's there yet. He's really not been able to follow any of the boundaries set in place since this began.
All right. Were you aware that he had a conviction for operating while intoxicated back in June of 2009?
Yes.
All right. Were you together at that point then?
No.
Okay. You guys had not known each other then?
We got together in 2012 when he got his second DUI.
Okay. And after he got the second DUI, was he open to counseling and AA or other supports to try to deal with alcohol?
He was ordered to do AA, so he did the bare minimum of what was ordered for him.
Okay. Was he ever required to do any sort of substance abuse counseling as a result of the DUI arrests, or?
I don't believe so,
Okay.
apart from just the AA, but I don't know the intricacies of all that, but he didn't attend a counselor until we were married and we attended marital counseling together. Okay.
All right. I know that you've described an unfortunate period in his life where things seem to have kind of gone off the rails a bit a couple of years ago. Fair?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What did that look like? I mean, in terms of let's be a little more specific. What did that look like in terms of either alcohol or any other substance? Was that a factor in it, in your view, from what you personally observed? Or
In my view, yes. He he hid a lot of drinking from me, so I'm not sure how much he was drinking. I'm only today just been still finding things that I didn't know were there. But I do know that he openly smoked marijuana in front of me throughout the whole day.
Okay.
He was quite high and making questionable choices.
Would he smoke in front of the kids or go outside and smoke or?
He would go outside.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. So at least he wasn't smoking in front of them,
correct.
but he was coming back in after smoking all day?
Yes.
Would this be a daily type situation or?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay,
Every day.
all right. Ultimately, there was a very unfortunate incident last year, correct? All right. Tell the court a little bit about what happened that day in August.
So it was in the morning and Kyle had woken up in a mood, as he often did when he was sober for a couple of hours in the morning before he started drinking or getting high. And in that time period, he was always very upset and angry. And the kids and I kind of learned these behaviors meant that we should just stay out of his way.
High pass, be safe on the roads, listening to us. Drive safe. 9 months, can you believe that? Look at Streamlabs just fucking working it today. Proud. Thank you so much. It's a Friday night and the feeling is right to listen to people fight.
So I had sat down in our kids' room and just kind of shut the door halfway and just sat in there with them while Kyle kind of walked around the house, stomping around, yelling about things, yelling about getting shoes and yelling about everything. And at this point, it wasn't new to us, so I just thought I'll just stay over here. He came into the room and he told me that I needed to move, that I needed to get out of the room, and I said, well, no, I'm just gonna stay in here. I shut the door a little bit. He came back in, he grabbed me by my leg, he dragged me out from behind where I was sitting. So like the kids' room is kind of covered in different toys that kind of line the wall. So I was kind of situated a little bit behind the door. And I said, don't touch me, please don't touch me, leave me alone. He then walked out of the room. And then when he came back in, knowing that I was still sitting there, he slammed the door into me as hard as he possibly could, which hurt my arm. And then he left the room. At which point then he came back in, took our 7-year-old who witnessed the whole thing on the top bunk. He ripped him off the top bunk with one arm, and Rex was yelling for him to stop hurting me, and he was upset that Kyle had hurt me. And so Rex was trying to punch him and get away from him, and I had to pull the two of them apart, and in which case I called 911.
All right. And tell us a little bit about, and if you could stick to the chronology of the events, but tell us what unfolded from a legal perspective. Why don't we talk about personal protection orders first, and then we can
Well, I don't know. Is this a premature objection, MB? Calls for a legal conclusion? Why is she giving us the legal rundown? She ain't no lawyer. I know he's prepped her, but could they be snippy about that? I don't know. I'm feeling snippy.
address other things, but what legal steps were taken after this unfortunate incident?
The police did arrive. They took a statement of which Rex had said that what he witnessed. They didn't end up making an arrest. they just said it was a he said, she said situation.
Okay. What, if anything, did you do after you found out that he was not going to be arrested?
I stayed in the house because Kyle had insisted that he take the kids. And the police had told me that he had every right to do so. And I just abided by the police, but at that point, my sister had arrived, and because I was supposed to babysit my niece that day, and she had kind of filled the police in on like a backstory of like what's been going on. The police came back in and said, if you're concerned about his mental health, then you should
I'm
file.
gonna object that there's hearsay from a
Yeah.
sister who allegedly said something to the police.
So you cannot say what somebody said out of court. That is hearsay unless it comes with an exception, okay?
Oh, okay.
So what we want to stick to is just your personal observations and what actions or steps you took after this incident.
Okay, sorry.
Fair enough, everybody?
The mental health petition was recommended to me by the police. So, and they also recommended that I get a PPO, which I did both of those things.
Okay. And what happened with respect to the PPO?
He violated the PPO on September 15th. He showed up on my property. He followed me to the school.
I'm just gonna interrupt because we don't have a lot of time, and I mean, I was the judge on the PPO case, so I can take judicial notice of that.
Certainly, Your Honor.
All right.
Alex, I know you're nervous, it's nervous, but the court is very well of the criminal and PPO history, so I think I'm doing a poor job. Really, what I think the court just needs to hear is, what happened from the court cases, what charges were brought, what the end result was,
Yes.
and maybe just, we don't really have to rehash all the details.
Okay.
Is that
So,
fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay, so just tell us what court processes you went through relative to the PPO and any criminal charges, what they were, and then we can move on from that topic.
So he violated the PPO twice.
Okay.
And he was arrested for aggravated stalking,
Mhm.
which is a felony charge. And then he was able to get that down to a misdemeanor and domestic violence, which is what he's ultimately charged with.
All right. And as part of that process, did you work with the prosecutor in terms of understanding how the case would be resolved with the plea that you just
Yes,
shared
yes.
with us? Okay. All right. Excellent. And ultimately, what else has been going on with the PPO? Any new updates or what's
Yes.
happening?
So as of recently, I went to the police because I received an audio file from his mom that went.
And how did you receive that audio file from his mom?
She texted me it.
And what day was that?
She texted me on September 1st.
September 1st.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, go ahead and tell the court what you were texting.
It was an audio file that where Sally, Kyle's mom, identifies everyone that's talking.
First of all, that's weird. Streamlabs is on it tonight. NPC, thank you so much. I appreciate that. The green screen's fucking up. I changed it so that I could wear different clothes. Anywho, and it's bugging me with my hair. Anyways, thank you so much, and Streamlabs, thank you so much for being on the ball. I'm not used to it. Now I gotta do it quick. I love it. Thank you. This is an interesting case because here's the deal. This is why I like these cases. We get the info and we're going to listen to it and make a decision. Now, it goes, I guess, without saying that the TPO got put in place, but the fact that the police arrived and didn't arrest anybody after talking with the child on scene, and then we know that the police recommend people to get TPOs all the time when they don't really mean it. They just want to get them off their back. It's their line, okay? That holds no weight in court. Get a PPO, okay? I mean, literally, judges know that. But the fact if it was put in place and not ex parte, but like fully put in place after a full hearing and then he violated it, that would be not very good. That would be problematic. But she does speak very legalese. Like, she's talking about charges and different things like that, which is, I mean, I think she's well prepared. I think she's paying this lawyer a lot of money and he's prepared her well. I'm interested to see cross-examination of her. Let's say that.
And Kyle is going into detail about my work schedule and what I was doing on certain days and just my day-to-day things that I was doing. It's a conversation between him and his dad about, you know, on this day she went here, on this day she was working, on this day she did this. And
How did that make you feel?
Your Honor, I'm gonna object. That's again hearsay, an out-of-court statement by a witness who's not been called. No file has been exchanged in this case. There's also no grounds for this.
the audio file.
Hold on, hold on.
Hold on, sorry. Judge, I'll move on from that in terms of any hearsay for sure, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Again, Alex, we have to be careful on, you just can't do it. We can't have, hearsay. And so ultimately though, what, if anything, did you do as a result of receiving a text message from your husband's mother?
It's the police. I gave them a report. They submitted the audio file to evidence. They recommended I contact his probation officer, which I did. And then I filed a PPO violation with Turbo Court.
Okay.
Just waiting for the response from them.
All right. The fact that this has happened, how does that make you feel about parenting time, given the fact that you were sent this audio? What does that lead you to believe?
It leads me to believe that his behaviors haven't changed. You know, I keep trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that like he wants to see his kids and he wants to do these things, but then his actions showed different. And this is just another example of his stalking and intimidating behavior, and how it impacts my life.
All right. Did he have any conversation with you about the text message, or you guys aren't really allowed to talk, period?
We only contact each other through our family wizard, and it's only on information that involves our kids.
Got it. Understood. All right. Thank you. All right. And did you hear anything with his probation? Well, let's move on from that. Sorry about that. All right. The next factor that the court has to consider is mental health. Your Honor, I think, Mr. Artson, I think we agreed that both the psychological evaluations were admissible, did we not? I think we did.
I'm in agreement with that.
Okay. Your Honor, with that, I would just like the court to have the opportunity to admit both of those evaluations so that the court chooses, the court can review them.
All right, and just for the record, I know we got a number of his exhibits that were marked. What numbers are those?
Oh, I am so sorry. And then I just can't remember which one yours was.
Your Honor, mine are defense exhibits 9 and 10
Okay.
for the two.
Okay,
All right.
Thank
Sound good?
I just want to make it clear for the record what's being admitted.
Certainly. Thank you, Your Honor. All right, so you and your husband both submitted to a psychological evaluation, correct?
Yes.
All right. Do you have any concerns about Kyle's mental health?
Yes.
And share with us what those concerns are.
Just based on the information that we already know, I mean, he's been very difficult to work with throughout this process. He's, anything that's been put in place for boundaries, whether it be through the court or something that we've tried to come up with, he has ultimately just ignored it. He's mentally seems to be all over the place with his behaviors. There's just no consistency, and he's prone to escalate in any situation, and I've just not been shown any consistency on his behalf.
Do you recall telling the caseworker under Factor G mental health that you believe that Kyle's anger issues led to him losing his job at Corewell Health?
Yes, I do believe that.
And he had been there for how long?
It's 17 years, I believe.
17
You have
years.
to ask him, but yes.
All right. And ultimately, tell us a little bit about your mental health. How do you feel mentally?
I feel really good. I've obviously this whole situation's been difficult, but it's also been very liberating not to have to live under all that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously proactive in making sure that, I also see a counselor on a regular basis, and I'm doing all the things to ensure that, my mental health is the best that it can be during this process. But I'm good. I'm of sound mind, and
How often are you seeing your counselor?
I see her every 2 weeks or so.
Okay. In that factor though, Kyle reported or alleged that you had a history of abusing Adderall. How do you respond to that?
That's just not true. I submitted a doctor's note from my doctor that kind of debunked that.
Sure. And it looks like you at one point had some postpartum depression, or at least Kyle thought you did. I don't know. Was that even true?
I had some postpartum anxiety after Penny, but nothing that's not really anything worthy of talking about.
Certainly. And how many medications are you taking at this point? Is it just the one that was mentioned in the report? Sorry about that.
I take modafinil. And,
Yes.
that is for narcolepsy, and I've had.
Yeah, it is. It's a stimulant. It's interesting that she takes modafinil and Adderall. And she has narcolepsy? That's interesting. Yay, 7 months. So they're both psycho, allegedly, in our opinion. Yeah. So here's the funny thing. A friend, someone who isn't me, has a friend who had bad sleep apnea and was prescribed that. That's a lot of stimulant. It's like literally like a stimulant to keep you awake during the day. Interesting. But I'm no doctor, so it doesn't matter to me. But if she didn't say she had narcolepsy, like, you'd think that would be a thing. But maybe it treats it. Here's the thing, also. Can you be a narcoleptic? I'm sure you can. Nurse. But also, a little postpartum anxiety. Well, everybody has a little postpartum anxiety. Isn't her youngest kid like 2 or 3? So that shouldn't be medicated now, right?
That my whole life. Again, in the doctor's note, that's in the FLC recommendation. They also said that that's completely levothyroxine. I think levothyroxine for my thyroid and Zoloft from my postpartum anxiety.
Okay. I know we've talked about alcohol. We probably don't need to plow that field anymore, but do you have any concerns, at least you did at the interview, about substances with respect to Kyle?
Yes.
And-
He was smoking every day for like an astronomical amount every day,
Mhm.
to the point where it was causing him a lot of dysfunction in his workplace and home. So I'm under the impression that he has to be sober now, so I don't know that I can speak to where he's at now, but
Sure.
certainly that was an issue when we were together.
Was he smoking pot daily before getting fired at Corewell, or only after?
Before,
Okay.
yes,
And did he continue to smoke after losing his job at Corewell?
yes,
Okay, all right. But obviously, as you've stated, the two of you have been separated for really over a year now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so you wouldn't be aware of any drinking or smoking habits, fair?
Correct.
Okay, understood. All right, The next factor the court considers is the mental and physical health of the parties involved. How is your physical health?
My physical health is great.
Good.
Yeah.
No issues of concern?
No.
All right. And no physical health issues for Kyle that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. All right. Very good. The next factor the court considers is the home, school, and community record of the child. Again, I realize the children are very young, so I'm guessing they don't even get like A, B's, and C's yet, do they? Or is it just satisfactory and not satisfactory? How does that
For
work?
preschool?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like you showed up or didn't show up. You're nice to your peers or you're not.
Okay, got it. But nothing, again, I probably repeat myself, but nobody's got an educational problem or, that we're worried about, severe
No.
ADHD or something like that we're concerned
No,
about. Okay,
We're very lucky and blessed that our kids are very healthy and they're doing well.
all right. And I take it is that the Lowell school system then?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And you haven't had any problems with attendance or anything like that for the kids or anything like that, right? Okay, that's good. I know that we had talked earlier about the parent-teacher conferences, but do you also communicate with folks at the school, whether it's a teacher or anybody at the school with respect to the children as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they have a system? There's a system called Skyward. I don't know what yours may be called, but where they can actually email you and say, hey, your child missed a homework assignment today,
Yes.
or okay.
Yeah, I'm involved in their it's called Class Dojo.
Okay.
And then before it was called Balloons. They all have different apps that you can that you're
Okay.
involved in, then you can just interact and get information from day to day.
Okay, understood. All right. The court will also consider the reasonable preference of the children. Obviously, we don't know that, and we are not allowed to discuss that, and that will be up to the judge on interviewing them. The next factor, though, is the willingness and ability of each of the parents to facilitate and encourage a close and continuing parental-child relationship between the child and the other parent. Now, obviously, the two of you have had a rough year, okay? But do you agree that it's important for the children to have a good relationship with their father?
Very much so, yeah.
All right.
I really would like them to be able to have a safe and good interactive time with Kyle.
All right. And I think you even testified earlier that the children love their father.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do.
So that's not the issue, right? Okay. Certainly, your husband is probably going to tell the court that, you are not doing well on factor J, that you're somehow alienating him from his children. How would you respond to that, I guess, criticism?
I have been the only person able to facilitate time for Kyle and his kids to see each other. When they went to the church, that was all me setting that up. I set up the supervisors, I set up the times for him to see them. I arranged for several different supervisors, volunteers, people that were willing to volunteer their time to help. In which, in a lot of those circumstances, Kyle made it difficult for them to supervise in one way or another.
I think we need to be a little more specific on that. Let me tell you why. Because if Kyle says, hey, wait a minute, you were the one, screwing up the whole supervisor schedule, selection, all that stuff. Tell us why that's not true. I mean, somebody botched up the supervisors, no question. Okay.
Correct, yes.
But tell us what really happened in your perspective.
So, from the beginning, I had told Kyle that I think it'd be important for us to set some rules aside for the supervisors so that they can understand what they're agreeing to do. And he did not want to do that. However, I was able to set up supervised visits with, 2 members of our church on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that was going well for a while until Kyle said that he can no longer do those, and he didn't really give me a reason or the kids, from my understanding.
How long had he been doing those Tuesdays and Thursdays?
I believe it was about 2 months.
Okay.
Of consistent Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that was going really well. The kids seemed to like it. And then he just up and said to the supervisor, I'm not gonna do these anymore. And then he didn't.
All right. Um,
There was another instance where my friend Rachel was going to supervise a visit at the church. And he made a comment that made her uncomfortable, and she was like, I just don't want to be involved in,
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
that is correct, Your Honor. We have to, we're not allowed to
yes.
talk about it. All right. Why don't we somewhat move on from that topic, but not really. All right, so in terms of the supervision and the Tuesdays and Thursdays, did he give you a reason why he just all of a sudden cut out Tuesdays and Thursdays?
He did not.
He didn't communicate that with you
I
on
think
Our Family
I
Wizard?
think
Or?
at some point down the road, either maybe it was in a legal document, through all this stuff. I heard it was because of his work, but I haven't really gotten a consistent answer on a lot of things from Kyle.
All right. You were obviously aware that the court was assisting the other attorney and I in trying to resolve this case in our last trial, correct?
Correct,
All right.
yes.
You expressed a willingness to begin him on some better parenting time, certainly an improvement, no doubt, with what he was
Right,
experiencing,
yes.
okay? Are you still open to that thought? And if not, why?
I am not. I would prefer to do the front of the court recommendation. I feel like the last time we met, I was trying to be open to the idea that, maybe things have improved for Kyle, but his actions with this PPO violation and just the fact that even in the last hearing, he wouldn't agree to this, to having his kids unsupervised. He just, it all just kind of adds up to more inconsistencies. And I don't feel safe in sending the kids with him in that amount of time, like for the 2 weeks.
Certainly understood. And you and I have talked about this, correct?
Yes.
The court is going to put him on a path to reunification for the children, correct?
Yes,
All
yes.
right. And you're not objecting to a path to
I am.
reunification, correct?
Correct.
All right. You are just, what would you like to see a path of reunification look like? Now, I know that you've already testified that it would be more specifically the friend of the court, but what would be the goal, what they've recommended in terms of timing? But what would you like to see happen as part of a pathway to reunification?
I like the front of the court recommendation because of the fact that it has the supervised visits built in and that they're scheduled, and that the kids will be able to have a consistent schedule with him for a while and kind of be able to build that relationship of like, okay, they're gonna go see dad at certain times, and Kyle and I cannot come to, any kind of agreement on figuring that out. So I liked that about the supervised visits in front of the court, and it's a controlled environment where the people are trained and understand what's at stake and the things that could happen, and it also would require him to be sober for those visits and all the things that I think are very important for our children's safety.
All right. One last time. Convince the court that you are this is not about you wanting to impede that relationship between father and your children. Convince the court of that. What would you tell the court?
I would love nothing more than our kids to be able to have a good relationship with their dad. That relationship is very important. I know that, I want to move towards that 70-30 kind of custody arrangement where, they can have that relationship with their dad, but they can also maintain their safety, their emotional well-being and physical well-being are, my top priority. And I think in doing something a little more strict, given all the stuff that's going on, that's just going to be in the best interest of the kids.
Understood. The next factor that the court has to consider is domestic violence. Again, I think we've plowed that field, but one last word, if you will, on domestic violence to the court. What is your feeling on domestic violence and what you've experienced?
Kyle is certainly violent towards me, and he was violent towards Rex, our oldest. I don't know that I don't know what he's done to rehabilitate himself. in the last year. I can't speak for who he is now, but
All right.
I really hope that he's just moving in the right direction.
Understood. All right. Is there any other factor that you want the court to consider, knowing that you're asking the court to adopt the friend of the court recommendation? Any other factor, any last piece of information that you think I've not touched on that you would like the court to know?
I know the friend of the court evaluator went into great detail. She really took her time with everything to learn about me and Kyle. Seemed very unbiased, and she left nothing unturned. She, as you could tell from the report that she sent in, and I appreciated that effort on her behalf, and I agree with her evaluation of us.
All right. She also indicates in the report, does she not, that you both submitted materials and the questionnaire prior to the meeting?
Yes, I think
Okay.
so.
Understood. All right. In terms of child support, are you asking the court to adopt the friend of the court recommendation on child support, or do you think that needs to be looked at?
I'm asking for them to adopt what's suggested in the front of the
All right.
board.
So you don't have any qualms or objections to the child support recommendation as it is reflected in the front of the court?
Correct.
All right. Your Honor, with that said, I have no further questions.
Mr. Arnson.
May I take a 5-minute bathroom break or 4-minute bathroom break? Sorry.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Spanola, you can stop recording and live streaming.
Just constantly making my job harder, these people, because they're what? Pea-sized bladders? Give me a goddamn break. Good news. Got it. And I want you to get ready for cross-examination.
All right, Your Honor.
Hold on. Had to wait for YouTube to pop up.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge. Sorry, I muted myself. I'm really glad that you stopped it for YouTube. Thank you. Yes, you'll see here, I was now recording this. So I put it to 1.25 speed for a couple minutes, and that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. So deal with it. So 4-minute bathroom break to talk to her about cross-examination beforehand, right? Right? That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Let's go.
We're back on the record in the matter of McMahon versus Detweiler, case number 23-10555-DM. Parties are present along with their respective attorneys, and this is a continuation of the divorce trial after a recess. Mr. Arnson.
Thank you. Ms. McMahon, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to go over some questions based on some of your answers earlier. You had stated that you're a registered nurse, correct?
Yes.
And what hours do you work?
I currently work every weekend on Saturdays and Sundays from 7 to 7:30 p.m.
On a typical day, I mean, you probably leave for work at 6:30 a.m.
Yes.
and you get back probably around 8 p.m.
Yes.
And do you ever work past 8 p.m.?
Not often. Sometimes I've picked up a couple hours.
Okay. Have you ever picked up any shifts during the week? Any of those 12-hour shifts during the week at all?
I do not usually know.
Okay. And as your teaching job at Grand Valley, is there a set night that you work each week?
I work on Wednesday mornings from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Does that shift, or is that pretty consistent per semester?
It's been pretty consistent.
Looking back at factor A, I mean, you agreed that Kyle loves the children and the children love Kyle, correct?
That's correct.
And the children, there's been no issues. Children have not been injured during any of Mr. Detweiler's parenting time.
Correct.
And prior to the issuance of the PPO, Mr. Detweiler was, was seeing the children every day along with you, presumably, correct?
Yes,
Yep. And you were working that, starting, I think in 2020, you started the nursing job, correct?
yes.
And then when did you start the Grand Valley job as well?
I started that last year
Okay.
in the fall.
Did, at any point, or when Kyle was at Corwell, what were his hours?
I believe they were every weekend or every other weekend. I'm not sure, actually. I can't remember.
You think he was working weekends back then? What's your recollection?
I think so. I know he worked 3/12s, and I think he had every weekend for a while, and then just the usual healthcare schedule of every other weekend and some days in between.
So during the week, you both were working a lot of weekends, and that's when you had childcare?
Yes, we've had childcare for when we both work weekends.
And when Kyle was working at Sheridan, what were his hours?
He worked night shift, and he worked he worked 3/12s and then had a night off and then another 3/12s.
And you don't know specifically what hours he's working now, is that correct?
That is correct.
Very good. The factor B, you talked about specifically the Methodist Church. It's fair to say that you and Mr. Detweiler didn't attend church very regularly, correct?
Together, we did not know.
Okay. So would you say that the children were in church very infrequently? Would you agree?
I would disagree. I did take them to the church often. And I would take them on the weekends I had Sundays off.
Okay. So how often did you have Sundays off?
Well, up until the last year or so, I've been only weekends, but prior to that, I had every third weekend and, and every other weekend. It was kind of all over the place.
Okay. So for the past several years, you have not really taken the children to church on Sundays, correct?
I personally have not in the last year or so, unless I have a Sunday off, but they have attended.
Okay. You kind of mentioned that you have a pretty good support network with your family, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So in the when discussion with the kind of the court worker, you had stated that that the environment you grew up in was pretty rough. Would you agree?
No, I would not agree.
Okay. So when the evaluator says on page 6, Alexandra shared that she grew up in an environment similar to the one that Kyle was creating for their children, including substance use and violence, and she did not want to be the childhood that her children will have. So do you think that the FOC worker misconstrued something you said?
Correct. I do think that I had mentioned that I did not want to grow up in a house or have our kids grow up in a house with lots of alcohol and drug use. There was that in my house growing up, and I don't want them to be subjected to that. There was not violence, like how Kyle had been, but I was referring more so in that instance to the alcohol and drug use.
Okay. So on page 14, when the evaluator says, Alexandra expressed during the joint interview that she does not want to allow violence and outbursts in her children's lives like she experienced growing up. So you had stated, it's true, you had stated that there was violence in your home growing up to the evaluator, correct?
I did not say that to the evaluator, no.
Okay, so the evaluator got that wrong?
That's correct.
Okay.
I did say that there was alcohol and drug use in my home growing up.
So and you stated that you had a great childhood growing up to Dr. Cunningham in your report, that is the truth, correct?
Yes, I did have a good childhood.
Okay, so there was alcohol use in your home growing up, but there was no violence.
Correct.
That's your testimony today?
Yes.
Okay. Earlier you testified that you thought that the the evaluation was pretty good, and I think you said that nothing was left unturned. You recall saying that?
Yes.
Okay. So clearly the evaluator got something wrong, correct?
I think she put violent in that sentence where it didn't need to be, but otherwise she got everything pretty correct.
Okay. You don't know if she ignored any emails that Mr. Detweiler sent her? Do you have any knowledge about that?
I don't have any knowledge of that.
Okay. Did she ignore any emails you sent her?
Not that I know of.
It's true that this report came out prior to the completion of your mental health evaluation, correct?
That's correct.
And it's true that this report came out before the completion of Dr. Kilashevsky's mental health analysis of Mr. Detweiler. Is that correct?
I'm not sure, but you probably have that information.
Okay. Well, you'd agree that neither report is referenced in the front of the court report, correct?
Correct.
In regards to factor C, when Mr. Detweiler was employed at Corwell, and when you were still in school, you would agree that he was the primary earner for the house. Would that be a fair statement?
That's correct.
Okay. And then when you started working, you guys make about the same roughly in terms of income? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. And shortly after Mr. Detweiler was let go from his employment with Spectrum, he obtained another job. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know about how long he was unemployed for?
Maybe 3 months.
Okay. And it was he was employed at Sheridan Hospital, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And he had to pass a drug test, did he not?
He did.
Okay. So he presumably passed the drug test because he was hired by the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. The home which Mr. Detweiler is living now belongs to his parents, correct?
Yes.
And you've been in that home before?
Yes.
The home is appropriate. There's bedrooms and space for the children.
Yes.
There's running water, electricity.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything in that house that would be detrimental and unsafe for the children?
I believe the emotional environment of that household right now is not safe for our children.
Okay. And that's, I mean, essentially you've got an axe to grind against Mr. Detweiler's parents, correct?
No, just I have safety concerns about his father and Kyle.
Okay. And there's you have a personal protection order hearing coming up on that issue, correct?
That's correct.
So the person that provides childcare on Saturdays and Sundays, what time does she arrive?
She gets there between 6 and 6:30.
Okay, and when does she leave usually?
8.
The children usually asleep by the time you come home from work?
Sometimes.
Okay. Are the children sometimes asleep when you go to work?
They're usually awake.
Okay. Early risers?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that. How long has this person been working with you?
She has been working with me since the summer of 2023.
And my understanding, she's a college student?
That's correct.
And has there been any discussion about how long she's going to stay on?
Indefinitely for now. She's wonderful. I hope she stays for a while.
Okay. Well, presumably she's going to get her college degree at some point.
Yeah, I do think she is planning on sticking around the area.
Okay. So were you in court when Mr. Detweiler was sentenced?
Yes.
Okay. So did you hear the terms of his probation?
I did, but
Okay.
I don't know them exactly.
Okay. So you're aware that there's Mr. Detweiler is not allowed to use any substances during his probation?
Yes.
And you know, there was some discussion in sentencing about drug tests. Do you recall that?
I know that he was going to be subjected to drug tests. I don't know how often or.
Okay. And there was a component where he had to go to domestic violence counseling. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you recall that he had to engage a counselor, which he had to engage a counselor as well, a personal counselor, correct?
Yes,
And my office sent your attorney's office, verification of that, of those things at least a couple months ago. Do you recall seeing those?
yes,
So we know at least a couple months ago that Mr. Detweiler was in good standing on probation and there were no issues, correct?
as of a couple months ago, yes.
And you have no information to suggest otherwise, correct?
Apart from the probation violation I just submitted, no.
And that was, well, let's talk about that briefly.
Mhm.
That was submitted, when did you submit that?
Well, I had to do it in a couple different steps, so, I received the text message on September 1st. I went to the police that week, and then it's like been officially put in through the turbo court as of this past week.
But you don't know whether or not he has been violated for that issuance of a text message, correct?
Correct.
And in that audio, don't want to get into the specifics of the hearsay, but the children were not present for that audio, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So that wouldn't be a violation of of the agreement about supervision, correct?
That audio file in particular, no, is not.
I want to talk about some of these, briefly talk about some of these instances here. The
This is sped up, remember, 1.25 speed. You're welcome for that for a little
August
bit.
15th, the incident that you've already testified on, do you recall?
And can you clarify your?
Yeah, oh, sorry, August 15th, 2023. The, Mr. Detweiler, there was, school was starting in the next several weeks on that day, correct?
Yes,
And, Mr. Detweiler wanted to take the children, the oldest children to get shoes, correct?
yes,
So you indicated that first, Mr. Detweiler tried to remove you from behind the door, grabbed your leg and drug you. Was that your testimony?
yes,
You didn't tell the police that, did you?
I did.
Some point is your testimony that Mr. Detweiler left and came back and then he hit you with the door, correct?
That is correct.
And you said that it hurt. Was there any physical injury from that?
There was some bruising.
Okay. Did the police see that and take pictures?
No, the bruising came after.
Okay.
These bruises do.
Did you submit that to the police after the fact?
No, I did not.
Okay. So Mr. Detweiler then left and came back and grabbed your testimony. He grabbed Rex from the top bunk, correct?
That is correct.
And at some point, do you recall hitting Mr. Detweiler?
I did not.
Okay. On the time, how many times until the police arrived did you say out loud in front of the minor child that Mr. Detweiler slammed the door into you, slammed your hand into the door, or something similar? Do you know how many times you said that before the police arrived?
I don't.
Okay. Do you recall arguing with Mr. Detweiler while you were on the 911 call?
Arguing with Kyle.
Yes.
I recall asking him to back away from us, but I don't recall arguing.
Okay. The issue on, so Saturday, September 2nd, 2023, do you recall that?
Yes,
Okay, so you were at work on that day and during that time, correct?
that's correct.
And it was agreed that Mr. Detweiler's parents would be watching the children, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I want to clarify, at this point, the PPO had been entered, correct?
Yes,
There was no court order that prohibited Mr. Detweiler from spending time with the children, correct?
Mr. Detweiler being Tim or Kyle?
Sorry, Mr. Detweiler being Kyle Detweiler.
Correct. He couldn't be on the premises.
There was a PPO, but it did not address parenting time or custody or anything related to the children, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you had told the police on that, a couple days later, you went to the police station or called the police, correct?
Yes,
And you told the police that Mr. Detweiler, being Kyle Detweiler, he was in the driveway. Did you tell them that?
yes,
And allegedly you had audio or you had video and photos of Mr. Detweiler being Kyle Detweiler in the driveway, correct?
no, if we're talking about the September 2nd,
Yes.
I only had videos of his parents talking to Kyle and then ushering the kids to his vehicle.
So the question was there audio or was there video or photographs of Mr. Detweiler in the driveway?
No, there was not specific evidence of that.
Okay. So he was actually outside the driveway on the street, correct?
I don't know. I only have camera footage of his parents.
Okay. Well, you submitted you recall sending a screenshot of a Mr. Detweiler's car in the street?
We're still talking about the September 2nd issue, or are we talking?
Correct.
Okay, then, yes, I did have a camera footage of his car being in the street, but I believe they couldn't identify that as officially Kyle in the car.
So the statement that he was in your driveway was factually inaccurate, correct?
Well, in one of the videos, you can hear him talking to his mom at a distance that would only make sense if he was in the driveway.
Okay. But there was no video of him actually being in the driveway, correct?
Correct.
And the video that by the time you sent it over to the police, it had expired, correct?
I don't know what you mean by expired.
The video, the link was no longer active from your digital camera. Does that ring a bell?
No, I don't recall the details of that, to be honest.
So regardless, there was no video putting Mr. Detweiler actually in the driveway, correct?
For that instance, correct.
Okay. Returning to the 9/15 incident, so it was September 15th, 2023. This was an incident before school when Mr. Detweiler arrived. Do you remember that?
Yes,
Okay. And you had stated that that he was in the driveway on that day, correct?
yes,
But he actually was never in the driveway. He was only on the roadway, correct?
no, he was in the driveway.
Okay. And you took a photograph of him, but that showed him standing in the roadway, correct?
Yes,
Okay. So there's no video or no photograph of him being actually in the driveway in the property, correct?
yeah, I believe the video or the picture shows him like about a centimeter away from the driveway, correct?
Okay. So it's still your statement that at some point he was standing in the driveway. Okay. Although you have nothing to prove that, correct?
Correct.
And when you say he followed you to the school that day, isn't it true that he was actually at the school before you?
When I saw him at the school, he was already out of his vehicle and he was kind of pacing up and down the sidewalk.
And was he talking to anybody?
No, I don't believe so.
So you never saw him talking to Jenny Milanowski?
No.
Okay.
Her kids didn't go to that school then, I don't believe.
You talked to the police in early July, is that correct?
I talked to police in early July.
Correct.
Yes,
So it was roughly July 9th, you went to the police station with a concern, correct?
that is correct.
Okay. So
Did we put a year on that? A
Well,
year?
oh yeah, sorry, July 9th, 2024. Sorry, Your Honor. So you had stated on that day to the police that 8 days prior on July 1, you saw a black car driving around, right?
That's correct.
Okay, but you didn't know the make or model, you didn't know who, if Mr. Detweiler or anybody was in the vehicle, correct?
I didn't recognize it as a Focus, but I didn't see Kyle in the car.
Okay. You told the police that you were concerned because you went on a date with a neighbor, right?
That's correct.
Okay. But at that time, it wasn't just a date. You had been dating that person for some time, correct?
That is incorrect.
Okay. So your relationship with this gentleman, when would you say it started?
I've only gone on one date with this gentleman, so I don't know that I can say I have a relationship with him.
Okay. When was that date?
I don't know, sometime in the spring. I don't have an exact date of that.
Okay. Have you seen him socially at all since that time in the spring?
Yes, I have lots of friends and he's our neighbor, so I have seen him, yes.
Okay, so you've continued to, I would say you've continued a friendship with this gentleman, even though you've been on one date, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Humble brag, has lots of friends. Hi, Courtney. You're just in time. It's good now. We're getting good. Plus, we got lesbians later. Because it's Friday night, so we go a little late and long on Friday nights. Because let's face it, we don't have anything else to do.
So he bought you a Christmas present. He's bought presents for the children.
He did not buy presents for the children.
Okay, he's never bought anything for the kids.
No.
Okay.
He gave me an old dishwasher.
Okay. Didn't give the children a bike or anything.
No, he has, he lives right by the park and his parents, have a giant shed full of bikes and they gave Rex one of the bikes that they were using. They did not purchase the bike.
So I want to say sometime in mid-June, you spent some time with this gentleman or at his, maybe he has a boat on a lake.
Yes,
Okay. And you had one of your, friend's children with you?
yes,
Okay. And you posted several pictures from that incident or that hangout session, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. You're aware that this gentleman liked or loved every single one of those pictures?
a lot of people like and love a lot of pictures, but no, I'm not aware of that.
Okay. So you told the police that you went out on one date with this guy and you didn't say anything to anybody, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But your children know who he is.
That's true, yes.
And anybody with social media wherewithal could put two and two together and it looks like something. Would you agree?
No, I would disagree.
Okay. So you went on a date with this guy in the spring and you're worried that somehow Mr. Detweiler found out about it because he was following you around in July.
Well, I don't know why it got brought up in the witness list, and I found that quite strange.
Okay. So you just went to the police.
Yeah, he has stalking behavior, so I figure it would be appropriate for me to continue to report any stalking behaviors I might see. Even
though you had nothing to go on that there was potential stalking going on.
Well, what I was going on was the fact that I had gone on one date with someone and then that person's full name appeared on a witness list. And I found that very strange.
But since that time, you've modified your permissions online and you have a tighter digital spreadsheet. Would you agree?
I don't understand the question.
Have you changed your security settings and your permissions online to who can see it?
How is this relevant?
I'm lost myself, Mr. Arnson. Just in the interest of time, where are you going with this?
Your Honor, out of nowhere, she just speculates Mr. Detweiler did stuff and she's trying to get him in trouble back in July.
Okay, all right. I don't know how much more time you want to spend in this area.
Okay, I'll move on.
Time you have.
I thought it was relevant. Thank you. Going back lastly to this issue of September 1, Mr. Detweiler did not send you any messages, correct?
That's correct.
Do you have any indication that he asked someone to send that message to you?
I have no idea.
Okay. So you've submitted that as a violation of the personal protection order, correct?
That's correct.
So you had a chance to review your and Mr. Detweiler's mental health examinations in this case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I was curious, why didn't you bring up the concerns about your childhood with Dr. Cunningham?
I don't have any large concerns about my childhood.
Okay. They came up in your evaluation with the friend of the court, though, correct?
Right, Kyle had made that statement, and she made a statement about that.
Okay, so that at that point, a couple months later, it was no longer something that was on your mind when you met with Dr. Cunningham?
Yeah.
So when you talked about school earlier, you'd indicated that, you said that you had always gone to the parent-teacher conferences. Maybe Mr. Detweiler went to one, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so you would have had one parent-teacher conference, that being during the marriage before the separation. That would have been in the fall of 2022, correct?
No, there's conferences in the fall and the spring.
Okay, but so your indication is that maybe out of the two, Mr. Detweiler maybe went to one?
Well, our kids have been in school for a while. So Penny started preschool when she was 3. So she's now in 1st grade. So there were lots of different conferences.
The school parent-teacher conferences specifically.
Specifically, say thank you to NPC for a membership. Oh, another one! How exciting! Thank you, and they're getting given out to names we know and names we don't. Make sure to turn gifting on, like the video, do all those things, and say thank you. NPC, thank you.
Rex would have started kindergarten in 2022, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you and Mr. Detweiler both went to those conferences back in 2022, correct?
We went to one together, yeah.
Okay. And then in 2023, you don't know whether or not Mr. Detweiler, or do you know whether Mr. Detweiler went to any parent-teacher conferences?
I was told that he did not make an appointment, but that he showed up randomly at for their conferences, yes.
So the answer, he did, I mean, regardless of what somebody said, he did speak to the school about that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know whether or not Mr. Detweiler is on Class Dojo?
I don't know that.
Okay. You were aware that for a while, Mr. Detweiler was going to the school at least on a weekly basis to see the children, correct?
Yes, I do know that.
And on November 15th, that would have been, I believe, of 2023.
YouTube Daddy takes 30%. I wish it was just 20. But he gives us so much that we can't really complain. So we'll say it's between 20 and 30. It's 30, by the way. But yeah, oh, good, we're on the same page. Yeah, I'm fucking well aware. I get it. I have the links. I should put them in the description. You're right. I will try and make a stab at that. I will stab at that. It's 30. No, it's a honeybee 30. But they're not very transparent, and I'll just tell you that. They don't really give you an accounting of what they got in the back. Whatever. I love you, YouTube Daddy. Everything's fine.
Sorry. November 16th. Do you recall that day?
Yes.
Mr. Detweiler was with the children on the playground?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall there was a discussion about Mr. Detweiler wanting to take the children to breakfast the next day after school?
Yes, I believe I said that I did not feel comfortable with him having unsupervised visitation with his kids at that time.
Okay. And at that point, there was no court order, correct?
Correct.
And you kept the children home from school the next day, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Were they ill?
Hey! Yeah! First of all, thank you, NPC. Thank you, KCC. Thank you again, ×5, NPC. Seriously amazing. Yes, and I burst into verse all the time. It's a curse. I wish I had a purse. No. No, and I appreciate all of it. I love everybody's support, and I really appreciate it. But, yes, YouTube Daddy does have his claws in there, and it is, oh, it's a curse, but it could be worse. No curse, no curse. Unless you're getting divorced in this court.
I don't remember.
Okay. So from the time the PPO issued until we were in court in November, you'd agree that there was no court order that prevented Mr. Detweiler from seeing the children, correct?
I believe so, yeah. There wasn't. I think it would just specify that he wasn't allowed to like harass them is what the most that was involved with the kids.
There was the order about the PPO, correct?
Yes.
So you would agree that Mr. Detweiler could have taken the children from school and kept them and taken them and gone somewhere and had them at his house, correct?
He could have, yeah.
He never did that, did he?
He tried several times. But specifically in that playground incident, he was acting very scary, and it was uncomfortable for the kids in that situation.
You never filed a motion, you never talked to anybody about a PPO for that instance, correct?
That's correct, because it didn't really meet that criteria, unfortunately.
Okay. So when this all started, you basically dictated that Mr. Detweiler could see the children supervised under your specific terms, correct?
Oh, I love I love some pee-pee tree. Thank you so much, Wixom. I so appreciate that. And you know what the best part about PayPal is? We can use it right away, and we don't need to wait till next month. Again, very thankful, but budgeting, getting paid once a month is supplemented by my good friends, lovely PayPals like that. Thank you so much. And we love the PP tree. We are not getting to Dad tonight. Was it Carol that asked? No, we're not. They didn't get to Dad today. It doesn't exist. It's not that I'm hiding it, Carol. It doesn't exist. It never happened. It's going to be happening in the future. I wouldn't hold out on you like that.
I came up with some boundaries that I thought were safest for our kids.
Yeah, and those were by your, I guess your decision, correct? The, did Mr. Detweiler try to show you that he was sober?
When,
And, starting in September of 2023?
yes. But he had done that several times throughout our marriage.
Okay. So he had sent you some drug and alcohol tests to show that he was not using substances, correct?
The only thing I wonder what you're talking about, Mac, is like I totally understand what you're saying, but I'm the one that wants to be the star. Obviously, I'm the one full of myself, so and love looking at my face and my boobs. So, but I don't tend to throw money up on the screen. I don't buy the super chats. That's all of you guys. And I think that's fun, but I don't think that's people trying to be the star. I think everybody recognizes that I'm the star. Oh, I'm just kidding. We are all attention-seeking whores.
They were not alcohol tests, but
Were some of them alcohol tests?
I don't know.
Okay. And he was also obtained employment in that time, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So in December of 2023, he got a new job at Trinity Health, correct?
I don't know.
Okay. Prior to the separation, it's true that Mr. Detweiler was pretty involved in the day-to-day activities of the children. Would you agree?
Yes.
So he went to extracurricular activities, went to baseball practices.
The year leading up to our separation, there was a steep decline in all of that, but yes, prior to that, yeah, he at one point was very involved, yes.
Okay.
Let's do the internet shuffle. When you get
There's
it
been a lot
back.
of, you testified that you agreed that Family Wizard is supposed to be regarding the children, communication between you two regarding the children, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you had brought up in a message to Mr. Detweiler about license tabs, is that correct?
Oh, yeah, early on in this, I did bring that up.
Okay. And you brought up at one point,
This is an educational. This is an educational channel. Educational. I can't. Oh, there we go. 6 minutes is the time that lawyers bill in. Wrap your fucking brain around that. That's how they work and bill out their time to different projects. I've worked for engineers before and they bill out, but generally not at the 6 minute mark. I'll tell you that much. Maybe at the quarter hour, but not usually.
that you wanted to get the towing information about for the vehicle, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you messaged Mr. Detweiler about some issue in the bathroom, something needed to be fixed in the bathroom.
I had
Yeah,
asked about home insurance information because I did not have access in our marriage to any of that information, so in order for me to get the information I need, I do have to ask him about some of those things.
Okay. Even if it violates a court order, you're fine with asking that question?
Well, I guess I wasn't really thinking about that at the time, so.
You submitted an invoice for home improvement, like a HVAC issue.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they have apps and add-ons and
You would agree that
bookmark things, Sherry.
at some point,
But the problem is that you still have to do it. You still have to actually think about it. You can't just, there's not, I don't think yet, AI that's in your brain knowing what you're thinking about. They're billing what they're thinking. This is the thing. Their thinking is what they bill for as a lawyer. So it's what your brain is working on, not necessarily what you're actually working on. So it's not as easy to bill that out unless you are on it all the time in that mindset. But there's many apps, I'm sure, for lawyers and law professionals to use to track their time, but they just have to still, there's still just this innate difficult part about that when you have to be able to account for your time, and even your time in thought, I would say.
2020, 2021, you and Mr. Detweiler were in marriage counseling.
Yes.
Do you recall a discussion about you having PTSD from past trauma?
I keep seeing this come up in documents, but I've never been diagnosed with PTSD, nor do I
Okay.
think that I have
You
it.
don't recall any discussion about that in the counseling when you and Mr. Detweiler, there was discussions about safe words for arguments?
That simply did not happen.
Okay. You and Mr. Detweiler tried one last session of marriage counseling. It was in November of 2023?
I did attend a counseling session with Kyle,
Okay.
and yes,
Wait, approximate date, was it early November 2023?
I'm not sure.
Do you recall in 2020, January of 2022, do you recall telling Mr. Detweiler you wanted a divorce?
Yes,
And it was right before you slapped a coffee cup out of his hand when he was sitting in the car?
I did not do that.
Oh, okay. But you do recall telling him that on January 27th, 2022?
Yes, we did get in an argument where I said that.
Okay. And I have nothing further at this time.
Mr. Cox?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm sorry? Oh, that's okay. Thanks. Ms. McMahon, you were asked some questions about your husband's parents. Why don't we start first with your husband's father? Can you tell the court a little bit about what you've dealt with your husband's father?
Sure, yeah, I had a decent relationship with Tim up until the separation. I'd still wanted them to have an active role in the kids' lives. They, like has been discussed, they babysat. And I had made it clear to them that during this time it was safest for the kids to until we could get this all sorted, to not be around Kyle, and I made that very clear to them. In which they just completely ignored that safety concern. Tim in particular at one point came to my house. I had all of the littles around me, and he told me that this wasn't my house, it was his house, that I needed to leave, that I was going to get my kids taken away from me, which my daughter was very upset about for a long time. He continued to make irrational comments. I asked him to leave my house. He wouldn't do it. then in order for me to like even just get out of the house, away from them, I had luckily been pet sitting next door, so I asked the kids if they wanted to go feed the cat next door, and we were able to leave our house, and I left Tim and Sally behind because I didn't know what else to do apart from calling the police on them, and I didn't really want to do all that. And from there, he repeatedly showed up to my house, unannounced and uninvited. Oftentimes when babysitters were there when I wasn't there, to ask for mail, to ask to go through my house. At one point, my mom was babysitting, and she asked him to leave and shut the door, and I have him on camera walking right back in, walking through the house, very uncomfortable and very much harassment. I don't have I'm sure they have their opinions of me, and that's totally fine. I just am more concerned about the safety issues and the fact that they can do these things in front of our kids. It really upset the kids to see their grandpa acting like that.
Has their grandpa ever acknowledged that his son has a drinking problem?
Yes. Up until the separation, Tim and I would often exchange about things to try to help Kyle get the help that he needed for his alcoholism, for his drug use, and those things were acknowledged.
And I'm gonna object for hearsay.
Certainly are. We can move on. And again, I don't want to answer questions, but when in your mind, and maybe there wasn't, was there a particular trigger that made your relationship with your father-in-law go south?
It was the separation.
Meaning when you and your husband separated in August of 23.
Yes,
Okay, so the relationship has not been good since then?
correct. I believe he was concerned about his image and not concerned about any of our safety.
All right.
Your Honor, that calls for speculation.
What is your opinion about your father-in-law's concern for your safety? What is your opinion?
I believe that instead of choosing the route to help Kyle get the help that he needed, he decided to double down and just make this a situation where I'm fabricating things or.
All right, well, let me ask you the question. Is that the reason why he was not one of the supervisor options?
The reason for him not being a supervisor option is just because of him doing that in front of the kids. Like I said, I don't expect him he doesn't need to like me, but he needs to be respectful of the very vulnerable position our kids are in with this whole situation, and he says inappropriate things in front of them.
Got it. All right. Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Mr. Arnson.
Who, she says? Well, here's the thing. What we have left is her mother testifying. It's short, it's not good, and we're not going to watch that tonight because it's honestly useless. I think I'll show it right before we will catch up. They had to make a new date, and they fucking went off the air to do it, little bitches. So, we're getting to the lesbians now, and here's what I'll say. I never said they were hot. Just warning ya. And lost 2 people already. Hilarious to me. Here it is. Here's the thing. What time is it? I need a consensus. Should we just watch this last 30 minutes together, 35 minutes together, or should I zip it through to the lesbians? Because this one is actually very exciting. But not exciting, like just more like boring. Okay, I'll zip it through to the lesbians because it is late. We'll do that one tomorrow. Where are the lesbians? Where are they? It's not right there. What can I say? There it is. Sweet tea! Is sweet tea around?
I'm gonna give Andrea off on Thursday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I want you to listen to this exchange here first as well. The judge would listen to this little back and forth chat, all right?
I hope Josie has a great first year.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I thought my stance on gay marriage was clear. I only support.
That opens up for Thursday. But I wish I could say more. I don't know what else, but I think it's wonderful. They can. It was hard. They're like both equal, very hard, both actively engaged, very active in their daughter's life, 5-year-old, and it's of course he won Wyandotte. Okay. Okay. So that's good news. I'm gonna give Andrea off on Thursday. You can leave early today, though. Henry's not here.
Good afternoon, Linda. I'm going to check to see a sound check with Miss Carrie. Is she here?
Okay.
Miss Carrie?
Yes, I'm on the phone.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Matter of Linda Tormina versus Carrie Tormina.
For the record, this matter is before the court this afternoon for a pretrial conference, the same as being conducted via Zoom. Court is in receipt of what appears to be a consent judgment of divorce. And ma'am, can you state your name for the record?
Linda Tormina.
Okay, thank you. And Carrie Tormina, you're also present on audio, is that correct?
Yes.
Both please raise your right hand to be sworn, please. Do you both solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll start with you, Miss Linda. Since you're the plaintiff, can you please state your name, current mailing address for the record?
It's Linda Tormina, 16795.
Thank you. Is it true, Miss Linda, that you filed a complaint for divorce with this court on or about June 14th, 2024?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Is it further true that on the date you filed the complaint, you had been a resident of the County of Monroe at least 10 days, the state of Michigan at least 6 months?
Yes, sir.
Is it further true that you married Carrie? The complaint doesn't say when, it says June 2nd. I don't know what year it was, but you married to Carrie.
2017.
2017, and you, when did you separate?
It was the beginning of June.
Okay. Is it true, ma'am, there's been a breakdown of your marriage relationship to the extent that the objects of matrimony have been destroyed and there's no reasonable chance of reconciliation?
That is correct.
Were there any children born or adopted to you during the marriage?
No, there isn't.
And you signed your name to this proposed judgment approving the terms and conditions contained therein, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, Miss Carrie, can you please state your name and mailing address for the record?
Carrie Tormina, 1499251.
Thank you. Miss Carrie, did you hear the testimony of your spouse, Linda, this afternoon?
Yes.
Was her testimony true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it is.
And you also signed your name to this proposed judgment approving the terms and conditions contained therein, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, Miss Carrie, are you currently pregnant?
No.
I need to ask that same question of Linda. Miss Linda, are you currently pregnant?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go through the terms of this judgment with both of you. You both agree that spousal support is not awarded. That's forever barred. You've already divided your personal property. So each will keep the personal property currently in your possession, free and clear of any claimant part of the other. There are no joint debts, each paying debts in their own name. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Each will keep their own
Yes.
automobile and paying debt thereon. There's no real property and there are no pensions, retirement plans to be divided. And finally, Ms. Carey is requesting restoration reform name of Carmack, C-A-R-M-A-C-K.
That is correct.
Is that all accurate?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Do either of you have any questions for the court?
No, I don't.
I don't either.
Okay. So, Ms. Carmack, when you receive a copy of this judgment, you need to take a copy to the Secretary of State and Social Security to facilitate that legal change of your last name, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Right, court appreciates your cooperation in this regard, having returned the judgment of divorce. Based upon the testimony that's been presented this afternoon, as well as complaint filed in this case, court finds that jurisdiction has been established. Court further finds that there has been a breakdown of the marriage relationship to the extent that the obvious matrimony has been destroyed and there appears to be no reasonable likelihood that the marriage can be preserved. Accordingly, it is ordered by this court that the marriage between the parties be and is thereby dissolved, and judgment shall enter granting a divorce for the bonds of matrimony. Court has signed the judgment. You both can mail the copy. That will conclude this hearing. You can both zoom out. Have a good rest of the day and weekend.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. You have a good weekend too.
Thank you.
So we'll watch the other hearing. I'll just zip back to it. We'll do that. Anyways, the reason they ask about the pregnancy, to give you a little bit of insight, is because if a child is born during a marriage or conceived during a marriage, it is presumed to be the issue of that marriage. And so they don't actually allow divorce proceedings to go through until the pregnancy is resolved. And then they can make sure that they change the presumed father. But they just ask that. And we've seen a case where somebody lied about that as well. Haven't we, chat? Yes, we have. Also, yes, Mikey, I did say lesbians. I didn't say hot lesbians. But I did say lesbians. And joke's on you. The hot lesbian's been on the screen the whole time. All right. Jerry, call of Jerry. Jerry turns out to be the nicest dude we've seen in a divorce in a long time. I'll say that. Jerry, and this is also going to be our geography lesson for the evening, but here's a great reminder. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, slap fights will be happening over on Credence and Mikey on the main channel, and we will pregame before that here. Oh, Judge is coming out. I can hear him. Anyways, we're going to pregame a little bit before that. Then we'll go over there together. It's going to be a blast. That means you have a date tomorrow night.
We sent Andrea home. We didn't want you to get sick. Or sent Sarah home.
I know.
Yeah. She's no good. Yeah. Okay.
Calling the matter of Jerry Haynes versus Aisha Haynes.
For the record, this matter is before the court this afternoon for a pretrial conference. The same is being conducted via Zoom. Appears both parties are present. Sir, you're Jerry Haynes, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And ma'am, you are Aisha Haynes, is that correct?
Aisha Haynes.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Court is in receipt of a proposed consent judgment which both of you have approved. Can you both please raise your right hand to be sworn, please?
Could you please repeat for what?
Can you please raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you both solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. We'll start with you, Mr. Haynes. You're the plaintiff. Can you please state your name and current mailing address for the record, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Jerry J. Haynes. Current address is Michigan 48162.
Thank you. Mr. Haynes, is it true that you filed a complaint for divorce with this court on about June 12th, 2024?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it further true that on the date you filed the complaint, you've been a resident of the County Monroe, State of Michigan for at least 6 months?
I'm sorry, a resident for what?
Is it further true that on the date you filed that complaint, namely June 12th, that you've been a resident of the County Monroe, State of Michigan for at least 6 months?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it further true that you married Aisha Razulzade, I can't pronounce her last name.
Yeah, yeah.
Razulzade. In November of 2017, you separated in August of 2023.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it true there's been a breakdown of your marriage relationship to the extent that the objects of matrimony have been destroyed and there's no reasonable chance of reconciliation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were there any children born or adopted during your marriage who are still minors?
No, sir.
And you signed your name to this proposed judgment approving the terms and conditions contained therein. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. Ms. Aisha, do you have any questions for the court? Or I'm sorry, can you please state your name and address?
The Mamadov,
I don't normally leave addresses in. I'm leaving this one in, and you'll understand why. I couldn't understand it at the beginning because obviously I didn't know that she was in Azerbaijan. Nobody fucking nobody goes see her, by the way.
Building 1, number sign 20, Baku, zip code is AZ1000, Azerbaijan.
Where's that?
Azerbaijan.
What country is it?
It's border with Turkey, and it's nearby the Caspian Sea, border with Armenia. It's a Caucasian country.
Yeah,
Okay.
the country's name is Azerbaijan, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. It's a small country, is it?
Right.
Okay. All right. Ms. Aisha, did you hear the testimony of your husband, Jerry, this afternoon? Did you hear Jerry's testimony?
Testimony is the, could you
Did you hear his
please?
statements? Did you hear what he just said?
Did you hear what I'm sorry, Your Honor, to just I know how she understands sometimes. Did you hear what I told the judge?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. Was that all true and accurate?
Yes, sir.
Are you currently pregnant?
No, sir.
And did you sign your name to this judgment approving the terms and conditions contained therein?
Yes, sir.
All right, the court's gonna go through this with both of you together. You've agreed that spousal support is not awarded, it's forever barred. You've already divided your personal property, so each will keep the personal property currently in your possession.
Only my question is that what was the first question is about the complaint I heard? What was that, Jerry? You said yes.
May I answer, Your Honor? I don't know proper procedure.
Yes, go ahead.
So he's asking the complaint, the paperwork that you signed and sent to me and I delivered.
Okay.
Did you sign those paperworks? And now, if again, please, Your Honor, if I'm overstepping, please let me know. He's going over those that document.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you've agreed, you've already divided your personal property. So each will keep the personal property currently in your possession. There's no real estate to be divided. Each will keep their own automobiles. Each will keep their own retirement accounts. With respect to debts, the judgment says debts are divided according to the attached personal property and debt addendum. There is no debt or personal property addendum. So are there any joint debts, Mr. Haynes? Debts in both names?
It's about to get sweeter, super sweet. I told you, this is the nicest guy we've seen in court ever, possibly. I feel terrible for Jerry. Jerry, if you're listening somehow, I feel bad for you. I'm sorry, buddy. You seem like a real nice dude. I'm being serious. He seems really nice. Anyways, just let him tell you what's happened here. I think, anyways, we'll have a lot to talk about.
So, like her FAFSA account I was co-signer for it because I was the one who worked, and it's tied to my bank account as well. So that is a joint debt, and admittedly, I promised to pay that off for her because, truth be told, they'll come after me. But also, she went to college because I pushed her to go to college.
Okay, so there is no debt addendum attached. I know there's just a piece of paper. It's a dashboard that says FAFSA, but doesn't indicate any names or anything. So what the court should do is write into this judgment, write a term that you agree to pay the balance of the loan due to that was applied through FAFSA. But who's the loan to? What's the name of the financial institution?
To be honest,
bank? You don't make payments to FAFSA. FAFSA is just the
right. To be honest, top of my head, I do not know, Your Honor. It's been one of those. Her account's been on hold because of the President Joe Biden and such. But it is
So
something
does
that
he ask how much I have a debt?
No, he's asking who is holding your loan, the FAFSA loan. And admittedly, I made one payment. This was February of this year.
Who did you make the payment to, Mr. Haynes?
I can't remember because I just go into her FAFSA account, click to the loan holder, and then made a payment. I haven't done that since, so I do apologize, Your Honor.
Mr. Haynes, you've agreed that you're going to pay the balance of that loan. It's about what, $9,000-$10,000. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I can write in the judgment that the plaintiff, Jerry Haynes, agrees to pay the outstanding balance of a student loan for the benefit of your wife.
Yes, Your Honor.
Would that be accurate?
Yes, Your Honor, that would be.
And we don't have an account number. We don't know to whom it's owed, but it's just one student loan, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. It's only one student loan.
And the balance is approximately almost $10,000, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so if I can write this in the judgment, and I'll put my initials next to that. Is that acceptable?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there any other joint debts, Mr. Haynes?
She is currently in an IT course that she pays monthly. You would have to ask her questions because I don't understand it that well.
Well, I can't be your attorney, Mr. Haynes. I'm trying to help you out with the judgment divorce, but you need to spell us out in judgment divorce.
So I promised to pay a IT training course that she is currently in her country. That is $4,000 US.
Mr. Haynes, you need to. I'm not going to enter this judgment divorce and prepare this for you. You need to attach to it a debt addendum and spell all this out. You've not done that. Where'd you go online? You get the forms. You can come down here. We can get you a form. You need to fill that out.
This is the verbal agreement and just the tutor, and I'm given the cash. That's why there was no paper I can send him to, and it's just between us, the verbal agreement. And when we are married, he promised me he will pay for my boot camp for my development, and now he's doing it. It's yeah.
All right, so so there's two.
Jerry's one of the good guys. I feel terrible for Jerry, and I'm almost certain that is a Call of Duty helmet or headset. Good night, Bill. She's certainly walking out of this very, very, very positively, considering she's already in Azerbaijan, taking this course that Jerry's paying for, and he's taking on all her debt. Sweet, 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 sweet Jerry. And guess what, guys? Just wait.
Joint debts that you agree to pay, Mr. Haynes, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
A student loan, can you find out who it's doing payable to?
Yes,
research
sir.
will be paid in February. That'd be nice if we could spell us out. So there's not. I don't want the court's trying to avoid issues down the road.
I understand, sir. I do apologize.
So you can either go online and then print out what's called a debt addendum, or you can come down here and we can try to print one out for you if you want to come down to the courthouse.
Okay, I can print one out, sir.
Okay, and spell it out, put it right in there that that you as a plaintiff agreed to pay in full the outstanding indebtedness for defendant's student loan. And if you find out if it's due to Chase Bank or whoever it might be, that always helps. But if you can, just say student loan and also this IT. And I don't know, what does IT stand for? Information technology?
Information technology, yes, sir.
Okay, and who is that loan to?
The name of the boot camp. I shouldn't.
The boot camp is the Hayward.
Did you capture that, Mr. Haynes?
I captured it. It sounded like Hayward. For this one, Your Honor, I'm unsure. And for the debt addendum, do I just put $4,000 for?
So the boot camp it will take approximately 8 to 10 months. It's just approximately 4,000 because it can take 8 or 10. It depends how the progress go. My tutor said.
So did the two of you communicate via email?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor. We communicate.
Okay.
Rather frequently.
Two of you can, when we're done here, communicate, email, and then try to exchange this information so you can be as specific as possible in this debt addendum.
Yes, Your Honor.
So just two debts, FOSFA debt and IT debt.
Yes,
this
Your
is what
Honor.
a boot. You say it's a boot camp?
Yes, boot camp, sir.
Wow. What is it? A physical fitness camp?
It's like and I can answer because I've been in one as well.
I forgot about that part. A physical fitness camp. Oh.
It's like a information technology crash course. You do roughly a year to 2 years of work in 8 months to 1 year time. It's used a lot for learning a certain system or a certain application. Hence why they say like a boot camp, kind of like military, short training.
Short intensive course. Right. But you agree to pay both those debts, correct, Mr. Haynes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you got to spell it out in an addendum, and then you need to bring that to the court or on the 4th floor.
Okay.
So the judge wants something from the boot camp, if I understand correct.
Permission to answer, Your Honor?
Yes, please, go ahead.
The judge is wanting me to fill out an addendum form, a specialized form that has the information about the debt. So the boot camp debt, the FAFSA loan.
So you have to fill something form from the
and bring it to the court. So they know exactly what debts are owed.
And that piece of paper will be as part of this judgment. So be incorporated the judgment so that Ms. Asian, you are protected. He's going to pay those debts.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I appreciate.
Right. Do either of you have any other questions?
I have questions, sir. So when I got my US citizen, I changed my name to make like English version, Aishan to Aisha. Now, can I go back to my previous name to Aishan and my maiden name to Rasulzadeh? That's automatically changed. I know that's not a problem, but can I change my name, first name?
Yes. In the judgment at page 2, if you got a copy, it says that your name shall be changed to Asian, Ayshen, Rasulrade. Is that correct?
Yes, Rasulzadeh. Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you receive this judgment, you need to take that to Bureau of Motor Vehicles or Secretary of State, Social Security, whoever and then that will facilitate the legal change of her last name.
Thank you, sir. So how long will take that and I will get the paper?
Ask Mr. Haynes. He has the court will sign it. You'll be divorced once the court receives that done. If he wants to bring it up this afternoon, I'll sign it this afternoon. If it's up next week, it'll be next week.
Okay.
Mr.
Also,
Haynes, you just have to go online and determine the nature of those. Find the attachment. It's called a personal property and debt addendum. If you can't find it, you come down here, the 4th floor Bronx office. We'll see if we can help you out with that form. You need to fill that in. Reference as much information you had to specifying those 2 loans that you agreed to satisfy.
Yes, Your Honor, I will.
Ms. Asian, another question?
yes, sir. Also, can I change my U.S. passport in U.S. Embassy in Azerbaijan? Is it possible? Do you know about that or not?
I do not know about that. That's something you have to ask the embassy.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right. So the court's going to hold this judgment until we get that addendum. It's a one-piece addendum, Mr. Haynes. You can spell the 2 loans and bring that down, and the court will then sign the judgment. We'll mail a copy to both of you. Based upon the testimony that's been presented this afternoon, as well as plain filed in this matter, the court finds that jurisdiction has been established. Court further finds that there has been a breakdown of the marriage relationship to the extent that the opposite matrimony has been broken. There appears to be no chance of reconciliation. Accordingly, upon receipt of the addendum, the court will sign the judgment of divorce, and at that time, the court will order that the marriage between the parties be dissolved, and judgment shall enter, granting a divorce from the bonds of matrimony. All right, that will conclude this hearing. Good luck to both of you, and you can both zoom out.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You're
welcome.
Have a good day.
Oh, okay. Okay, you got the file? I thought you said it was up here.
That was that. We're not watching anymore. I don't know. That was such a very, very strange case. Listen, if we see Jerry here in another 3 to 5 years divorcing somebody else, we will have uncovered a bit of a scam, but allegedly that's all we can say these days. I do feel bad for Jerry. A little bit. But regardless, I hope that everybody is, this is my living room. I'll be walking over to the couch in a moment and sitting down, closing the drapes, calling my butler for my pizza to be put in the oven. I hope that you guys have a wonderful evening. Remember, tomorrow, slap fights, baby. 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 5 Pacific. And I'll be around. What about you? Will you be there? Come here first. Check it out. I hope that everybody has a wonderful night. And remember that I love you. I am proud of you. And I will see you in the next video.
Ways down and ready to ride.